August 11th, 2020 was included in a public notice sent to the Burlington County Times and the Courier Post on January 8th, 2020, and advertised in said newspapers on January 10th, 2020, and January 11th, 2020. Respectively posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building on January 9th, and has remained continuously posted as required under the statute. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. So we'd like to start with the flag salute, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next is the roll call.
Mayor McLaughlin.
Here.
Ms. Schneider.
Here.
Mrs. Gilmore.
Here.
Mr. Costa.
Here.
Mr. Klaus.
Here. Okay, we have a full committee. So the first item is to approve the regular committee minutes of July 14th, 2020, and the executive session minutes of July 14th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Schneider.
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore.
Yes.
Mr. Costa.
Yes.
Mr. Klaus.
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin.
Yes. As usual, our tax collector, code enforcement official, fire official, construction official, and the emergency services file reports with us. So we'd like a motion to receive and file those reports for July 20th.
So moved.
July 2020, pardon me. Thank you, Jerry.
Second.
Mr. Klaus.
Yes.
Ms. Schneider.
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore.
Yes.
Mr. Costa.
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin.
Yes. So we have one ordinance tonight, and it's to appropriate the sum of $190,000 in funding from our capital improvement fund for the projects known as sidewalks, curbs, warning surfaces, and striping on Washington and Broad Streets and various parks and recreation projects. Paula, would you like to expand on that for us?
Sure. I mean, these items were appropriated in our budget for this year. We did anticipate some cost overruns with the CDBG grant allocation that we received was not enough to cover fully that project. And then the Parks and Recreation improvements, we did not receive our full request for the 2019 Municipal Park Development Grant that was offered by the county freeholders, and this is to offset the difference. And that project is for out here at the municipal playground to finish the front portion of the playground and make that 100% ADA accessible, as well as remove the existing playground equipment and install new.
Great. So we need a motion
Motion.
and a second.
Second.
Mr. Klaus.
Yes.
Mr. Costa.
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore.
Yes.
Ms. Schneider.
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin.
Yes. So I hope everybody has looked at a copy of our agenda, and I'm going to open the meeting to comments from the public on agenda items only. So if it's not on the agenda, please don't come up and make a comment. You'll have time for that later. Does anybody have a comment on agenda items only? Do we have anybody remote?
No, we do not.
Okay, so I'm going to close that. We have some resolutions tonight. The first resolution is number 2020-132-8, and this is a resolution to certify the annual audit.
So moved.
Am I reading it out of order? No, I'm not. No.
Second.
Yes. All right.
Mr. Costa.
Yes.
Ms. Schneider.
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore.
Yes.
Mr. Klaus.
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin.
Yes, and I'd like to make a comment that as long as I've been around, we've sort of, I'm not going to say the word flown through these audits, but we've done very well. There may be one or two de minimis corrections that our auditors come up with, and that makes me feel good because I know they're looking at it, if they could come up with a little something here and there. But de minimis, so I'd like to congratulate our office for doing a great job on the audit, so keep going, keep doing well. Okay, next is approval of Resolution 2020-133-8. We have a liquor license to approve, and it's Rancocas Lakeside LLC. And if I'm not mistaken, this is pocketed right now. This is the old Flo's liquor license for all you Hainsport residents. That's sort of waiting to find a home. So it needs to keep being renewed from time to time. So we'd ask the committee to pass this resolution 133-8.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
I have to abstain on this one.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. Next is a resolution 2020-134-8, and this is to consent to a master shared services agreement with Burlington County for the central communication / 911 system.
So moved.
that's,
Second.
okay.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. Next is Resolution 2020-135-8, and from time to time, we find and make corrections in our employee handbook, and this slight correction is in regards to the accrual of paid leave. So we're making a correction, an adjustment to our employee manual here.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. So next is Resolution 2020-136-8, and this authorizes our township attorney to file a motion in Superior Court of New Jersey in the matter of property known as 104 North Cumberland Avenue. Now, I'm not an attorney, but I think I'm trying to look at this. Are we filing this against the bank that owns the property? I know this came in kind of late.
No, currently the property management and the bank are in eviction proceedings. Due to the coronavirus and everything else, the process is going extremely slowly, and the township is seeking to intervene in that already going on eviction manner, just to let the court know how the township feels and tell the court about all the problems with the property and try to represent the interests of the town in this eviction matter.
Mr. Mayor, I think I may have a helpful suggestion. I would propose to amend the resolution so that it's not confined to just a motion, just in case our attorney deems it worthwhile filing a new action. I don't know, in the Chancery Division. I think we should give you that flexibility so you can get the job done. All right, with that amendment in mind, I would simply change the caption in any part of the body of the resolution to reflect that we're giving our attorney authority to either file a motion or other litigation.
Okay, and for those of you that know Mr. Costa, he is an attorney, and he also has experience in some of these landlord-tenant issues, and which this isn't, it's sort of one, but I'm open to that if we're able to do that. I'm not sure the procedure here. Are we allowed to change a resolution?
So we would need a motion to amend the resolution,
Okay.
and then we would need a second motion to approve the resolution.
Okay, so I will withdraw the resolution and ask for a motion to amend the resolution.
And I would so make that motion to amend the resolution to include the verbiage that we're authorizing our attorney to either make a motion to intervene in existing litigation or otherwise create new litigation as the attorney may deem appropriate.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion and a second, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, we need a vote.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. So now I will ask for a motion to introduce the amended resolution that we just voted for.
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
yes,
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. The next resolution is number 2020-137-8, and this authorizes the Township of Hainesport to renew our membership in the Burlington County Municipal Joint Insurance Fund, which is a very good insurance policy that a lot of almost all of the towns of Burlington County belong to this, and we save quite a bit of money and actually get dividends back.
so moved,
Second.
Mr. Klaus?
yes,
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. Okay, the next one is approving an estoppel certificate for Hainesport Commerce Center, Urban Renewal LLC. That's 2020-138-8. Paul, would you like to,
I'm going
we need a lawyer for that one?
I'm sorry, I was writing notes about the last.
So, I sort of know a little bit. Basically, the applicant sort of switched names, if you will, or corporate entities. We're actually very happy that the new entity is very much more financially stable or seems to have more of a backing than the other one. And this is the warehouse going up by Lowe's. There's a mega warehouse going up by the Lowe's. Unless somebody has something to add or correct.
No, that was correct, Mr. Mayor.
So moved.
second,
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
yes,
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. So we have 4 business licenses to approve tonight. Ed's Trim Shop, Essential Beginnings Daycare, Todd Sage, and Knox and Knox Solutions. We'd look for a motion on that.
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
yes,
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. Okay, next is comments from the public on anything you would like to speak about. Yes, ma'am. State your name and your address. Come on up. You don't necessarily have to wear the mask. That's your choice. It's your choice, so we can hear you better.
It would be nice to take it off. Cindy Tavermina, 105 Mason Woods Lane, Hainesport. Going to bring up the same thing I've been bringing up, just because I don't know all the ins and outs. The proposed land on Creek Road where they want to build these, this big buildings, you know, the 72 units that nobody knew about until April, I believe, when I brought it up, but then I see that it's been going since December, that you have known about it and that it's coming. So my question tonight is, so on the bill of sale, it says here, and this was from March, I believe, yes, but it was in the works since October, that it was a subdivision possible for single-family homes and townhomes, and then it was subdivided, and I want to know how that was done and by whom, if nobody up here knows about it.
Well, first of all, there's a process to land development, and you're not going to know the first time the township has a meeting with a potential developer.
Well, I'm
Because
aware
those
of
are
that.
those are contract negotiations, and they're private. So it would be either unlawful or immoral for us to broadcast that while there are negotiations to buy a property. So you're not going to know about that. So there's a process. Generally, our Economic Development Committee, which is comprised of 2 committee members, our planner, our attorney, our administrator would meet with any potential developer. So Hainesport has a 100% affordable housing rating that the state has given to us. That's based on a lot of quality of life issues, transportation, so on and so forth. So we're getting bombarded by developers to come in here and build affordable housing, which they need a tax credit from the state to be able to do that. So when you have 100% affordable housing rating, if you will, and we're mandated to build, how many is the latest number?
We're estimating 150.
150
Units.
homes is the latest round of affordable housing. Bear in mind, we built out round 1 and 2. There are very few, well, last time I served, there were very few towns that actually did that. So when the court tells you you need, it's now, the Commission on Affordable Housing has been disbanded in effect, and it's been turned over to the courts. So it's now handled by the courts. So a builder could come into Hainesport and decide to build, find a piece of land, find a willing seller, and basically sue the town and build whatever he wanted for affordable housing. And the real danger is a high density of housing. So we have a developer that's very much interested in that tract. The town is mandated to file a plan with the courts, which I think we did that, and that plan, that and other properties were,
We're in the process.
okay. So we need to file a plan with the court, and the court has to approve it to stop developers from building literally anywhere they can find a piece of property. So that plan has been filed. I guess it was last year at some point, the plan was filed. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It has not been filed. We've been
It has
communicating.
not been filed.
We've been
Okay.
in communication with the gentleman that runs the Fair Share Housing
Right.
Center.
My bear in mind, a lot of this happened last year. I wasn't here. So.
But you signed on it on last year, on 12/10 of 2019.
Right, yeah.
So if you
yeah.
had no knowledge,
Well, you're not,
I know.
that's, the knowledge that the public would get on any project is when it comes to the planning and zoning board, it's advertised, especially people within 200 feet of the property, you'd be notified. And from what I understand, the zoning has not been changed yet.
Correct.
So the zoning hasn't been changed. There's no formal project presented to us. The applicant has not gotten his credits, if you will, to enable him to even do anything. So nothing, and I know that nothing's really happened. The builder that I met with him, he's very neighbor-friendly, and he's going to come and meet with everybody, either at a planning board hearing or another venue, and that's where we're at. So there's basically nothing's really happened on that
a
site.
lot has happened, just like, so the planning board, if they go to the planning board, is that open to the public, or is that a
Yes.
closed meeting
Yes.
as well?
Yes.
And where does that get?
Right here. You'll be
Where is
notified.
that publicized at, I guess, because it's
It's in
not
the
on.
newspapers, it's on our website.
Is it on the website? Because, I mean, we did go, there were like 12 of us, I believe, that we went to the environmental meeting. And when was that?
It's not part of an environmental issue.
No, but it is,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned, if you're going to build on the wetlands and take away all those.
It's not there.
features,
It's
not
but-
wetlands.
They're advisory.
But I think they would have to advise upon that, no? They would have
Absolutely.
knowledge of it, I would
Absolutely. And
imagine.
you know,
It's not
They
there
didn't
yet.
at that time, even though things were signed
And
prior
It
to
hasn't
that.
gone that far. It
and,
hasn't.
the public has a right to attend those meetings and put their input in. I've seen things change over the years from one or two residents, and, nothing's cast in stone at this point right now.
Well, that's all I'm trying to make sure that everybody is aware, because that's a traffic spot right there as it is.
Those are things that are considered when it does go to joint use
Yeah.
land board. I was on the economic development with that and the warehouse. And when they're negotiating for property, you can't make it public because it'll ruin their negotiation edge for the properties or any type of economic development. Once there's an agreement made that we would either support it, not support it, or they would bring it to the joint use land board. It hasn't been to the joint use land board. That's when it would be public.
So, like,
It's,
the
we're
one
not
that was-
hiding nothing.
The one that came to the meeting, the last joint land use meeting for the 38. So it'll come like that?
Yes,
That
yes, the
person.
warehouse, yes, it'll come like
Well,
that,
not
it'll be
the warehouse,
publicized.
but the, right on 38 where like Country
Oh,
Autos is
Bancroft?
and stuff?
Yeah, that was another example.
Because
It's a
he
fine
just came and that was his first time announcing that, right? I believe. The one across from Wawa, right.
Well, he.
That came to
yeah.
joint use, but that wasn't,
If I may, there's a, again, I've been around, I guess, 18 years. I've never seen more development trying to come to Hainesport than ever. It's just amazing. So there's a process to trying to, and, you know, we're going to try to help anybody develop their land in a manner that's consistent with our, you know, our way of life in Hainesport. So the process on that property was to deem the tracks in an area in need of redevelopment. And that enables the town and the potential developers to do a lot of things. There's no formal plan there yet. We have somewhat of a little bit of an idea, but again, that's the process. So that was done. It needs to be memorialized, I think, in the next meeting. And now that's another step in the process. But again, to think that something's done behind closed doors, we're not going to include the public on every negotiation because we could ruin the value of the property or raise the value of the property and be subjected to all kinds of lawsuits by divulging basically secret information if there's a buyer and a seller. And that's the way it's done everywhere. It's not just here. So I don't like hearing that this was done. Again, I wasn't around last year, but it certainly wasn't done behind closed doors. It's all done legal and done correctly. And the public's notified when it's the right time to do it.
Well, I just don't want that to be too late. I don't want to find out when it's too late, so.
Well, attend the meeting.
That's why I'm here,
come
and
to the
I'm
meeting.
asking
I
you
mean,
these
you're-
questions, and I
Yeah,
asked you
no,
back in, how many
all-
months ago, and you knew nothing about
No,
at
I
that
didn't say I
point.
knew nothing.
You said that there was nothing brought to you at that time.
That doesn't mean I didn't know anything. There was nothing
No, I
brought to me at the
understand.
time.
I get it. That's why I'm here now, to make sure that I'm here for every
Yeah.
step.
Okay,
Thank you.
well, thank you very
There-
much for your interest. Go ahead,
Absolutely.
There
Mr.
is
Gilmore had
a
something to say.
member of the Environmental Committee that sits on the planning board.
Okay.
So there's where they get their input for that.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Kathy West. I'm from 107 Weatherhill Court in
Okay.
Mason's Woods Development as well. I'm just wondering, besides the environmental concerns, which may or may, I have no idea, like what they would be, if any. We're surrounded by wetlands. I don't know what the status is of the property across the street. What about traffic? I mean, as this thing gets moving, who does traffic studies? Because that already is a terrible intersection at
Sure.
Marne and
Right.
Creek Road. And to think about, is it 150 or is it 400 units that are being considered?
Where's this?
At the same development we were
72
talking about?
are being proposed right now. It doesn't mean they're going to be built. But traffic studies are almost always a component of the, so to speak, package that the town has to look at. There's also a planning issue, an aesthetic issue, there's the neighbor issue, there's the tree and buffer issue. There's a whole lot of things that we all need to take a look at, including the public, before we approve any sort of development. So there's going to be a lot of questions.
I just can't imagine myself, I can't imagine putting that many more residents and therefore cars on that, on that street, which is, it's like so close to that railroad bridge. And to me, it would probably
Well, that's-
present a danger,
I-
just my opinion.
Sure, and it may be the right opinion, it may be proved or disproved from a traffic study. We just, and again, that's part of the, so to speak, package that the
Right, and
builder
that-
has to put.
That intersection, it's my understanding, and I could be wrong about this, but it was my understanding that that intersection is controlled by the railroad. So I mean, like, the county or the town couldn't like widen that or do anything with that intersection to make it more viable for the amount of traffic that it's even
I-
getting now.
No, I believe the county absolutely has jurisdiction over that, and in fact, it was noted in their master road plan that they just put together. I think it was approved, adopted maybe within the last 6 months. So that intersection was part of their road master plan to look at
To look at as a result
in
of
terms
this
of
potential
making
development?
some changes to it because of the railroad bridge being dangerous and the intersection
It's a
being
really
dangerous.
dangerous
So
intersection. I
it
would
is
just
the
hate
county's
to see that
jurisdiction.
much more traffic.
Yeah, it would be the county's jurisdiction.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Hello, Mary Ellen Martin, 111 Weatherhill Court in the Masons Woods development. I just wanted to piggyback off of Kathy's. One of my major problems or concerns is the traffic on that area. It's a very heavily trafficked area. There is no shoulder to the road whatsoever. The sidewalk is, I don't even know if we want to call it a sidewalk. It's just a macadam, small little path that is, half the time it's lopsided. You're trying to walk so you don't twist your ankle, and you're walking kind of towards the street area. The traffic and the speed that the people go up and down that road is extremely high. We have 2 speed bumps that, in my opinion, do very little to slow the traffic down or slow the speed down. Even though it is very marked 25 miles per hour, very few people go 25 miles up that road. Again, it's a major throughway to Marne Highway. We all use it. The railroad trestle bridge is very narrow. Trying to get 2 cars underneath there is very difficult to do in some cases. But again, my major concern is the traffic in that area. I just get very concerned in the speed that people are going up and down there. If you have children that are walking with you, it's a major concern in my opinion.
Well, I appreciate this, but we're not having the hearing right now.
I understand.
You need to come out
Mhm.
and be here when, the planning board and/or the
Right.
committee visits this matter. I mean, everybody's entitled to comment about everything, and they're great comments, but you want to make sure you come
Yes, absolutely. Like I
to
said,
the
as soon as-
meeting.
when I know it's
If-
there,
If you
then,
have concerns about this.
okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm Steve Parra, 119 Mason Woods Lane. We're currently, that property you said is it currently zoned for single-family homes right now?
You know what? I'm not 100% sure what it's zoned for. Is that what it is now? Single?
It's single family, so it would have to be rezoned.
So
Okay.
there's a process to rezoning that, which is quite extensive also.
Okay, and that would have to be rezoned as high-density housing?
I believe that, I don't know what the formal land use term would be, multi-housing area.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just
it-
wonder- But right now, you're considering filing a motion in court, in Superior Court, New Jersey, to oppose high-density housing? Is that what
No,
you
no,
said?
no,
or-
no.
No.
Okay,
I'm sorry. The motion in court is regarding a completely different matter. There's a problematic home in the township in which there's a
Oh, no,
tenant
there was
illegally
a-
living in there.
yeah,
I think
this,
he's talking about our.
Well, allegedly.
Oh, if you're referring to the
Third
affordable
round.
housing, okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
That's
That's
okay.
another, yes. The township does have to, as the mayor and the administrator mentioned, negotiate affordable housing numbers with Fair Share Housing. As the mayor mentioned, the Council for Affordable Housing, which was the state regulatory organization that set the numbers for everyone, set the formula, was disbanded and, because effectively they weren't meeting for like 12 years or 8 years during the Christie administration. They just didn't meet. So the court said, we're taking over the process. So each town has to come to an agreement, a settlement with Fair Share Housing and local developers and agreeing to kind of a plan to meet your affordable housing obligation. And that process is ongoing. And any affordable housing would obviously be going towards meeting the township's court-mandated affordable housing obligation.
so in this case, that property, would that also have to go before the court?
No, we need, we're ordered by the court to file well, let me back up. So the courts, the Superior Court, I would imagine, gave us and every other town a number. You got to build like a lot of affordable housing. So the towns took a look at it, hired professionals, took a look at available land, and we go back to the courts and say, yeah, but we really only have room for this, and we try to get the number approved by the court. In a sense, it could be the same judge that might hear, it's called a builder's remedy suit, where a builder wants to come in here, and here's the real danger. They might say, well, I want to build 500 units over on the corner over there, and just inundate our schools with kids. Raise all your property taxes because we have to build a new school. This is what some of the towns are facing, and so it kind of works in reverse. It's not the fact that you necessarily get affordable housing. You just get a ton of housing, and you got everybody rides around. You've seen some of the developments at Mount Laurel, Mount Holly are going up. So we're definitely afraid of that. We don't want to have to, we're trying to keep taxes low. So that's one of the main reasons why we felt that we needed to adhere to the court and file a plan. So once we file a plan and the judge agrees to it, and again, it could be the same judge that might be hearing a builder's remedy suit. No plan, no case, no win. So if you have a plan, so this isn't something that we just decided that, oh, we're going to do. No, we're mandated, just like every other town. I mean, Morristown's putting a ton of them up across the street from
Wegmans.
the Costco.
Yeah.
Well, again, I'm sure they're all nice folks. The median income of these folks is $60,000 for a family of four. Our attorney jovially advised me that they do have cars. They don't walk. They pretty much all have cars and their own transport. So these are people that may be working in, a job right around here, and like our public works or even a school teacher. It's not necessarily scary, type thing. And the company that we're talking to, or they started out talking to last year, I happen to know, and there's companies now that do this for a living. They build these complexes and they maintain them. And I have to tell you, I do know some of the properties from this company, and they're impeccable. They're beautiful properties, and they're maintained to the T, and they make money at this. And so it's not as scary as, and of course, I don't want them to build anything that's not going to go in the neighborhood. That doesn't look good in the neighborhood,
Right.
as long as I'm around.
My concern is just the density of the housing back for that property back there is very high, and it's all, single-family homes for that whole area back there.
I understand. No, I understand. It's going to, but the public will have an opportunity. So at this point, the developer has a right to develop his property. He has to prove himself in a hearing that he qualifies for the zoning and all the issues that we're all talking about. So he's not going to walk in and build these homes. And he doesn't, from what I understand, there's no tax credits even available. The state doesn't, they only give out a certain amount of tax credits. So they really can't build these unless they get a tax credit on other income from other buildings that they're doing.
Correct, and it's my understanding that he's not even interested in applying, and that's to say that he even gets it until 2021 or 2022. If he doesn't get approved, and he's not going to move forward, and they'll reapply the following year.
Meanwhile, if we get our plan certified, okay, and we're not open to these mega communities where, so you have to build 15% affordable housing. So if you build 1,000 units somewhere, you have to put in 150 units affordable. And this is what's going on out there. It's sort of flipped and it's reversed. So we're trying to make sure that doesn't happen in Hainesport. I don't know if Jerry have a comment or anybody else have a comment?
No, I think you worded it properly. I mean, the point is, we're required to provide so much housing. It hasn't come through the proper channels. And I'll use the warehouse as an example. The warehouse went through economic development on Route 38. Naturally, there was desire to purchase the property. We can't let that out because that would increase the value of the property and could ruin the deal. And so until it got brought forth to the Joint Use Land Board, that's when everybody gets notified, everybody has a chance to speak, that's when it gets advertised, that's when things are starting to happen. Right now, nothing's happened with this. The good thing about it is it does protect us because we have a plan. And we're not, like there's places in Mount Laurel where they're building 1,000 units, 200 of them are affordable. They go to the judge, the township turns it down, they go to the judge says, well, 20 of them are affordable, you have to build it. So, we have a responsibility to look out for the town, make sure the town is not subject to that type of litigation or that type of builder's remedy. So that's the process. And we're fortunate in a situation now where this is just sitting idle. I mean, yet, they have an opportunity to bring it forth. They will. But I don't think, nothing's been hitting. That's the process. Like any economic development, if you were negotiating to buy something, you want money public, but you still want to know what the township thinks of it or what the process is. And that's the process of economic development. So right now, nothing's public, nothing's been really applied for, so I think we're actually in good standings with this.
Okay. Can I ask one follow-up question not related to this?
Yes, sure.
Okay. The warehouse, do you know who is going to be occupying the warehouse yet?
No, we don't, because when they decide to build, they don't have a tenant yet. But I will tell you that one of the considerations was the warehouse will not use any township roads, which means the township won't pay to plow any roads for access. We did, Leila and I were on economic development with that. We had them push it back, so we have commercial frontage for a warehouse or potentially something else. So we really did take in consideration our Route 38 corridor, so that I know a lot of people want a restaurant. Well, there's space there for a restaurant. There's space there for a store. It sits in the back. It's going to be a great employment opportunity for our township. It's a good tax rateable for us. So, I'm a little disappointed that some people are like, we didn't know what was going on, but there was a lot of advertising on it, a lot of media on it. And, it's going to be a big warehouse. It looks devastating, the construction.
Mm-hmm.
But I personally think it's a good thing for the township, and it's not in nobody's backyard. Realistically, it's in a good industrial area, and I think it's going to benefit us.
And, the reality is today, we had a Home Depot for that site many years ago.
Yeah, I remember.
That's not going to happen. So, commercial, bricks and mortar stores, we all know are a thing of the past. So again, we had a property owner that wanted to sell his property, and we had somebody that wanted to buy it. And we just did our little part to facilitate a sale and get that on the tax rolls. That's going to contribute a substantial amount of taxes to the township.
Okay.
So I think Jerry and Leila and Paul did that last year. They did a great job with that. So I commend them on that. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. All right, thank you.
Anybody else? I see some new people that came tonight. Does anybody have a comment? Yes. How are you?
Good evening. My name is Judy McDonald, 117 Mason Woods Lane. I have similar concerns that was expressed by my neighbors about the low-income housing, especially in our area with traffic. So the question is, if they do come in, or at least from what I'm hearing, is that we do need to have some type of low-income housing. So how would that affect the schools?
So it's not low-income housing.
Affordable.
Okay? It's affordable.
Affordable.
And a family of four has to make the ceiling, and it's right around there, is $60,000. I don't want anybody to think you're going to have all kinds of low, welfare-type properties. That is not what this is. As far as the schools, Paul and I actually reached out and had a meeting with our school superintendent, Jody Korn, and our school enrollment is actually way down from many years ago. Mr. Korn said he needs kids, and we've got a development going over by the diner, the one behind the diner's senior citizens. So he needs some money. He needs some kids. So teachers make money and they have legacy costs. So he's looking for, he said he could handle about 150 kids. This project will generate roughly 20 or 25 kids, I think we were talking about.
I believe it was 0.7 per unit
Yeah.
is what they
So maybe,
estimate affordable housing
so
to
let's say
produce.
50 if we're lucky.
Okay. Second question. Obviously, with the COVID-19 going on, I'm hearing that other townships are having issues with collecting property taxes, or they might be struggling financially. I do have 2 young children who will be eligible for kindergarten next year in September 2021. Just wanted to see that we'll still keep the full-time for kindergartner, and how would that?
Okay, well, first of all, we don't run the schools here. That's the school board. So I would suggest you go to a school board meeting, because I don't run their business. They run their own. I can tell you that the state will make the decision on what happens at the school. That it's not even going to be a local decision. As far as tax collections are concerned, we were very, very worried about tax collections here, but they're holding up very well. Matter of fact, houses are selling in a day or two. It's the hottest real estate market that's been around for many, many years. Prospective sellers won't even take an offer unless you can prove you have a mortgage or have the money. So the real estate resale market is very, very hot in town right now, and the tax collections are holding up. So things are sometimes not what they necessarily seem. It seems like everybody wants to get out of the city for a lot of reasons, and it's just very, very hot in the suburbs right now. And this is, again, this has always been a little sleepy little town that once people find out all about it, they want to be here. I'm sure you found out the same way I did, maybe a little earlier than you did,
Well,
but
I
I'm
got
happy
married
to be
into
here.
it.
You married into it. Well, welcome to town. But tax collections are holding up. We do have means available to us to, they're called tax anticipation notes that we can basically sell or borrow from the bank if we fell short. But we're very lucky. It's a small town. We don't have a lot of overhead here. We didn't really have to lay anybody off during the COVID. And right now, things are, I'm sure we could use a few more in Public Works, as you see from all the trees that keep falling down. We get them cleaned up, and they fall down again. So everything's fine right now in town. But the school board is where you want to go for that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, thanks for coming. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. I'll get you, Kitty, next. Hi.
Hi, I'm Eileen Dixie, 120 Masons Woods Lane. I just want to know we have a town planner. Why isn't the affordable housing kind of planned of where we would put it instead of having just somebody come in, grab a piece of land and say they're going to put it there? Wouldn't it be better to kind of preempt it and say we have all this property, what would be a great place to put something like that?
Sure. So what? And it is, and it has, and it's being planned. It's still in the works, but we have to have an inventory of available land. We just can't go in and take your house and decide.
I know that. I know,
okay.
but there is a lot of land in better places
and
to
you're right,
accommodate a lot of high volume.
You're right,
property.
and there is more land becoming available after this project was sort of thought of. So we don't know what's going to happen. We really don't know here. So
Does he own that property? This affordable housing?
He does own it at this point.
Okay, so
Now-
if he's denied the ability to build these apartment buildings?
There's no guarantee that he's got an approval to build, none whatsoever. We've made no guarantees.
Okay, so you have to
that
sell it or
we're-
put
we're-
single family on it?
I'm aware of no guarantees that we've made. We're in favor of trying to develop an affordable housing plan. So for whatever that means, what are we going to try to do? But we're not going to let him, we're not just going to give the applicant carte blanche. He's got a lot of hurdles he has to pass.
Okay, because I just feel like the one over by Wegmans, that was obviously placed there by the people of Morristown. It's not in neighborhoods, those big apartment buildings. That was planned, I'm sure.
Well, I got to tell you, when I was on the committee last time, I fought tooth and nail to stop that bank from opening on the corner of Hainesport, Mount Laurel Road. I didn't want it there because I just had my mind made up it was going to not fit. But you know what? I didn't vote to give him sewer access. I did that. I banked there now, I banked there, okay? And it's a nice looking building. It's a lot better looking than the junky lot that was there. And, so I get it. And, sometimes, they have a development going behind somebody's house on Bancroft, And you see all the trees come down, and it's like, but these people are entitled to develop their properties. We
Right.
can't necessarily stop them. But, again, I can tell you that Jerry and Mrs. Gilmore and the rest of the committee, and this applicant's been vetted 100%. And they're not built, it's not junk going up there or slums.
It's
If it happens.
It's the amount of people that it's going to put onto that
Well,
road.
they
It's
don't
not
all leave at the
quality of
same
people.
time, I hear you, and I don't know how I'd feel if it was behind my house.
Right, and or
I don't
how
know.
our property values
I don't
would be
know.
affected by having such a crowded road.
And
So
I'm not,
that's-
I hear you. So come to a meeting, voice your concerns whichever way, and that's what I would do, to the applicant and to the powers that be. First, it has to go through the planning board.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. I'm going to ask, you're next, sir. I'm going to have Mrs. McNellis come up first. She raised her hand before you. She's been around a while, and she usually lets me have it, so I might as well get it over with.
Catherine McNellis,
But I love her.
407 Bischoff Avenue, and I have been here 65 years, so,
65 years,
yeah.
yeah.
And this 152 number on the housing, Paula, is it 152?
Yeah, if I could clarify, it's not 150 units or homes, it's 150 credits. And there is a significant difference between those two distinctions.
Okay, how many homes?
There's a formula in place, and I'm going to be honest with you, this is 3.5 years for me, and I'm still learning. So you get credits for certain things. So a home, you get 1 credit. An apartment, based on the number of rooms, you can get double credits. So a 72-unit apartment would give a return of about 120 units. So then the township would have to make up for those 30 units elsewhere, which could be other places within the community. Could be ARC homes, it could be special needs adult homes, it could be rehabilitation homes for existing low to moderate income families that are already here. It could be extension of controls, existing second round affordable housing units where their 20-year deed restriction is expiring. We would actually contribute to the difference in the value to extend those controls.
5 years?
20 years, I think, was generally round 1 and 2 were
about, Laura.
20 or 25. Today, it's 30. So those additional units can be met, those, say 30, if it is that number, can be met by other means. But the 72 units could give the township a return of 120 credits of its 150 credit obligation.
Isn't that formed by the fact of how many houses we have, or how many we can build?
No, that's a number that comes out of the sky. And even Einstein couldn't figure out how they come up with it, like Paula said. It was written by lawyers, and only lawyers can understand it. So but we kind of know the number, and we feel that, or our lawyers feel that the courts will accept the plan that we've proposed, which is not the same as what we've been asked to build, by the way. It's less. So since Hainesport not only zoned but built round 1 and round 2, we feel that we're in a good position to sort of, be in favor of the courts, if they accept our plan, which is in the works right now.
I know that over the years, in the last, I'd say 30 years, I got really involved in this in the middle of 90s because of Creekview.
Yes.
And at that time, they decided to give 500 feet by a half a mile of our commercial property for townhouses, which increased the kids in our school so much that eventually we ended up having to add to the school. Now, right now, you're talking to Mr. Korn. When did you talk to him?
We had him in here, what, about a month and a half ago? And I just spoke to him the other day, because I asked him again.
Okay, because I'm
Actually, he
just
came by
wondering,
my house on Sunday again.
well, with this virus, you know, you would think that they would have to have more room in the school because the kids have to be so spaced out. Look at this room.
Well, we don't know what they're gonna do, Kitty. That's not up to us, that's the state. But I don't think it looks that good right now.
Right. But also the fact that these houses that are here now have been here quite a while, and I would be willing to say about maybe 50% of them have senior citizens living in them, and the kids are pretty well grown up and left home, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they didn't start to downsize. Now, on my street, I live on Little Bischoff Avenue. There's 6 houses. There's no children. They're all seniors. Any one of us sells our house, I'm sure our houses are too big for somebody to just, 2 people to move in. They're going to want kids.
Oh, yeah, we had it on our street.
And that's just going to add. So now, I'm hearing that this, like all these different things that we've done, we've used up so much of our commercial property that we could have gotten ratables, and now, like, the senior citizens is on commercial property. The 20 houses that Paparone's going to build on Bancroft, they're going to add kids to the schools, and that was commercial property. And then the next area is Creek Turn Pottery. They were going to have, that's all commercial there. And so what did they do? They decided to make it a park.
Right. But Kitty, we've got some commercial development coming, which we really can't speak about, that will more than satisfy
Where are they going to put
anybody's. Well, we're not, we all know where the Lowe's project is. And there's plenty of commercial property being planned. Again, for the times. What's a commercial rateable today isn't the same as 20 years ago when, you know, a Lowe's or a Home
We have no
Depot or
place
a
to
Kohl's.
put commercial, Bruce.
Yeah, we do, trust me.
What we have, the
We got-
wetlands on Revicchio property.
I can tell you that Jerry, Paula, and Miss Gilmore have some commercial development coming in here.
Well,
that
everything they
you're
tried
gonna-
to put there has been turned down, or else
No, it's
they
all,
back
it's all
out.
good. I mean, listen, I wish I could take credit for some of it, but I
This
can't. But it's
warehouse
good.
that you're
No,
putting in, I
it's good.
understand they're not
It's
going to
good.
pay taxes for
It's
30
good.
years.
No, they're gonna all pay taxes. Everybody pays taxes. It's all good. There's plenty of
the tax
commercial
abate?
development, more than you ever dreamed of coming. And I've been around not as long as you, but I can tell you that we're doing really well in the commercial development business right now,
I've been
right,
hearing
Paul?
this for 60 years. Well, we
Well,
last
okay.
30 years anyway.
Kitty, if you want to come in and look at the pilot
Okay.
agreement with Hainesport Commerce Center, you're more than welcome to come in tomorrow, and I'll show you what
Okay.
the rateable is
Okay,
that's
it's
coming
just
in.
the idea that I don't see where, like, when you say, if we don't do this, that somebody's going to come in and just build all these houses. I can't imagine them being allowed to come in and say they can build 500 houses if we don't need 500
If a
houses.
judge tells them they can, they will. It takes a willing seller and a willing buyer, and if there's no affordable housing plan and the judge sees 150 units, he'll take the 1,000. I could tell you, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not in court, but it's been done, and it's a scary thing. And we can't
Well,
afford
how about,
1,000
like,
units in this
they're
town.
making property into a farm, and now I understand over 400 apartments are going to go in there?
And I would ask the gentleman from Parker McKay, you've seen stuff rezoned by the courts. So you could take commercial property, if you want to expand on that.
Yeah, so basically, if the options are the township's plan, which the mayor's speaking about and gets negotiated, and they pretty much have to, you're asking about where the number comes from, and the formula is famously
No, I'm asking,
complicated.
is there 400 apartments going in?
Well,
on
I guess
on
the basic
bypass?
point is, I don't know about that particular property.
No,
but if
no,
the
not
number's
yet,
not figured out
not
by
now.
the town, it's the developers that decide. And any number that a developer comes up with is going to be much, much higher than any number that the township negotiated for. Because they have every incentive to just build as much as they can, and they don't really care about the long-term implications of the
kids or
taxes or
anything
the
else.
schools, because they're in the business of building homes.
Now
So,
that we have some control over this stuff, we do not have to agree to everything. When they decided to give the 500 feet by a half a mile away, And we had 100 people in the meeting, all saying, no, we want to keep our commercial. No, we want to keep it. And they still, oh, well, nobody's wanted to do anything with that ground for 10 years now. So we're going to let them put town.
I hear you, but trust me, hang around a little bit,
Wait,
you'll see some
the same people are
commercials.
still on that committee, Bruce.
You'll see some
The
commercials.
same people are still on that committee.
Well,
Thank you.
I think you're going to be happy, believe it or not. Yes, sir, you were next. Go ahead. Did you want to say something, Paul?
We do have callers on the line.
Okay, all right. All right, go ahead, sir, come on up. Sure. Absolutely, I'm sure.
Good evening.
Hi there.
My name is Larry Lewis. I live at 107 Masons Woods Lane,
Okay.
where my wife and I have been residents there for 21 years.
Oh, nice.
And
Hi.
within that period of time, we've seen two multi-family proposals. What's so attractive about that parcel of land that you want to have multi-family?
Well, I didn't buy it. That was, sort of done privately. I don't, I can't, I guess the applicant feels he can do something there. But, the thing that I noticed is the part that the building, because I did see a plan, is really tucked away from the road. It's sort of back almost against the tracks. It's not really, in your face on Creek Road kind of thing. And I'm sure that he may be even open to modifying his plan there as far as where the buildings are. Nothing's really cast in stone, but I've ridden there, and what you see, the building there that's there now, that's kind of staying, from what I understand. That wasn't part of the sale.
Okay.
So what you see is going to kind of stay there.
I see. I was just really concerned what's so attractive about that parcel of land. And because I totally agree with all of the residents of Mason Woods, the traffic area there is horrendous. And
Oh, yeah.
And there's been several accidents that has occurred right there at that intersection, if you want to call it an intersection. Yeah. And the next question that I have is, I understand that you need to be you need to be discreet about your negotiation. But the only thing we're asking is for just transparency. That's all we're asking
Right.
for.
We need to be legal.
Understand.
And we need to be transparent, absolutely, but legal first. I mean, as Mr. Klaus said, we could be sued if we change the value of a property by illegally divulging negotiations. Can't do that. So that's what you vote us in for, whether you voted for us or not. That's what we're here for, and we have to carry out the law. We have very good attorneys that guide us. So we do it legal and transparent, but legal first.
No, we're not asking you to break the law, Mayor.
Well,
No,
by
that's-
divulging projects to, so to speak, adhere to what certain people think is transparency would be flat out illegal. And I'm not going to jail. I don't get paid enough to go to jail for this job.
Understand that.
Yeah,
But what we're saying is that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
absolutely.
If we know exactly what's happening, then we can prepare
Yep.
for that.
Yep, I
And-
agree with you 100%, and I don't know you, sir, but I would like to treat you the way I would like to be treated. And again, we're not in as much control as you think. I mean, there's probably we got about 5 or 6 big building projects going on right now. The roads are gonna get a little more crowded in town. I mean, it's sort of happening, and we can't, we've never seen it like this before, never. This town was forgotten. It was Mount Laurel, nothing in Hainesport, and then Lumberton. And they, they've, like some of the developers came in and said, we found Hainesport now. It's not so far off 295 that we can't put warehousing in and can't do this and can't build this and can't build that. So it's a very attractive spot right now for people to build. So
I appreciate your comment about
Yeah, just keep an
treating
eye on the
me.
paper.
I thank you for your comment,
Okay.
for treating me the same, because I'll do the same for you. Thank
Okay.
you, sir. And lastly, needless to say, I guess we want to go on the record saying we actually oppose the building of a multi.
Okay.
Thank
Well,
you very much for your time.
If come out and state your case. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I do want to say one thing. I, too, live 3 houses from the intersection. And I truly intend to speak out on my concerns about the traffic there. So I'm in a unique situation where I have to go one way, but as a resident, I do oppose the increased traffic because I live on Hainesport Mount Laurel Road 3. There's times I can't get out of my driveway. And I don't like the accidents that occur at that intersection, so I'm right with you. But as a committee member, I have to be kind of neutral on it. But as a resident, I don't want to see the increased traffic. And that's a concern to me.
Hello, Pat, come on up. You're next, ma'am.
Pat Mackin, 116 Mason Woods Lane. I've been going to township meetings, planning board meetings. I started in the 90s, along with Kitty McNellis, Lil Schmidt.
Sure.
Lil and Kitty were on the COA committee. Back then, the committees were open to everybody in town. I went on the master plan. I brought this up before. Size of the trees that should be saved, if they're taken down, they have to be replaced. Doesn't seem like the committees, number one, are open to everybody in the township, regardless of your politics, and they should be. I'm sure there's a lot of good, smart, talented people that could lend a lot of info and help to making decisions, number one. Number two, I said this at the planning board, I'm going to say it again tonight. We have to meet 142 approximate low-income, moderate, affordable housing. Half of them are going behind us. Nothing was made to go on Gus's. Nothing, the other night, according to the planning board, no mention of how many were going out across from the Glen. Now, in the Glen, there's 6 units, I think, Leela?
39.
39 that are low income. They're on a 20-year.
Affordable housing.
They're not low income.
Okay, they're affordable housing. But according to what Paula just said, now those deeds, they were on a 20-year deed, I think, correct?
I believe
That
so.
expired, because we're 21
yet.
years.
Just coming up.
It's coming up, right. So if those 39 units, you said?
But not all of them, because as they resold, they redid it.
Okay, so
they extended out. So there's a number of them that have been resales.
okay, so I'm saying those can also be counted in. Because the dump 72 on our,
But they're
just let me
existing.
speak, please. Dumping them behind ours, and it sounds like the committee's for it, except for Ted, and I thank you for voting against it. But the 3 of you voted for it, along with Frank.
But those are existing. They can't count towards the new numbers.
Well,
We are, I think we bought 1 or 2 here and there.
Over the years, you have.
Again, it's such a convoluted formula, and that,
All right, well,
I can't
whatever
tell
the-
you what.
Let me just get through.
I can't come up there and tell somebody what counts for this and what counts for that, because they don't even know. The courts don't even know.
Well, let's just go back to, say, the 142.
Right. That's a good target.
And I think I can speak pretty much for a Creek Road and our development. There's no mention of what's going in across from the Glen.
The Glen.
The Glen on
Oh.
Revicchio's property.
It's just been.
It's just starting, I understand
Right.
that. There should
no
be low, moderate, affordable over there. That should be included.
Yeah.
Up on the bypass Marne Highway, if that's coming, it should be put in there, which will cut down, if God forbid it ever winds up behind us. We already have 3 neighbors in our development already moving. There's 1 house already on Creek Road. That's the impact this is already having. We worked hard to keep our properties nice in there and to build them up to hopefully get a good return. And they're going to go down. There's no question about it. So 72, that's a hell of a number. You need to think about us. You guys are voted in to work with us. You know, we're the bosses. So we're asking you to really, and I know it hasn't come to the planning board yet, but when the time comes, fight for us instead of for them. That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, thanks for hearing me. My name is Beth Mallory. I live at 107 Weather Hill Court in Hainesport. There's probably not much I can say that hasn't already been said by my neighbors, probably more eloquently than I can say it, but I just wanted to voice my opinion as well. I oppose the building of this for essentially all of the reasons that have already been put forth. The traffic is going to be horrific. It's already horrific. There's going to be accidents. Our property values are going to go down. Larry's lived there and his wife have lived there for 21 years. We've lived there for 17. We care about our property. We all maintain our properties very well, and our property values are going to go down, and that's not fair. I'm worried about the environment that this construction's going to have. It's just too many people in too small of an area. It's not going to work. I'm worried about my property taxes going up. They're already ridiculous. And I'm also concerned about the fire department. If this is a multi-story building, are they going to have to build a new firehouse? Are they going to have to buy a new fire truck? I don't know. But I'm really concerned about the property values and the traffic and the environment, and I officially oppose it.
Okay.
And I heard you loud and clear about coming to meetings,
Yeah,
so
that's
you'll be
where,
here.
I guess the first meeting on this would be a planning board meeting.
It will be a committee meeting because it'll be a zoning issue.
The zoning issue would come up, so this committee may hear the zoning.
Okay. I won't
of
take
that.
any more of your time because I'm just repeating what
No,
my
no,
neighbors
no,
have said.
listen,
but-
your voice
Yep.
is very important.
So thank you for listening.
Okay.
I'm going to open it up to the callers. I'm going to unmute everybody. If there's anybody online on GoToMeeting that would like to comment? Patrick Ochi, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I just wanted to make sure everybody can hear me. Is there anybody online that would like to say anything during public comments?
Okay, anybody else? All right, I'm going to close public comment. And we have comments from our administrator first.
First, I want to apologize to everybody that was on the call. There was a GoToMeeting hiccup, so I think that everybody just missed the first 10 minutes of the meeting, but I was able to reconnect to everybody right at the beginning of the public comments. But the link for the meeting will be posted first thing tomorrow morning, or you can go on the YouTube Hainesport Township site and you can watch the first 10 minutes. It's actually live right now as well. I'm happy to report that the current tax collection for the third quarter is at 30.45%. Surprisingly, last year's third quarter was lower at 12.96% on this day. So we are double from last year at this day for third quarter. Our collection rate for all quarters combined is higher than last year's at 75.24%. First, second, and third quarter for 2019 combined was 68.21%. So we are doing very well on our tax collections. I don't want to jinx us, but it's pretty notable. And again, the grace period has been extended to August 31st.
So that pushes out collections when you do that grace period that the governor, and we did.
Yes, and we did grace period last year as well. We do have a free radon test kits thanks to a grant that we applied for through the NJDEP. It is available to all Hainesport Township residents. Please come in during our business hours and get a free kit. We have implemented the sidewalk assessment program that the governing body had authorized several months ago. In between cleaning up all the storm debris, as the mayor mentioned, public works staff are going around the township to evaluate and document sidewalks and handicap ramps. Once the data is collected and packaged up, repair suggestions and funding methods will be presented to the body for consideration. A new residential debris removal program and schedule will be implemented in October. This information will be posted next month and included on the biannual Cleanup Day postcards that are mailed to every Hainesport resident in September. And I'm happy to finally announce that the meeting room repairs will begin on Friday. Thank you.
Comments from our temporary solicitor, who did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've met a lot of you covering before for John. My name is Jose Calvis. I'm an associate for John Gillespie, the normal solicitor, who's away this week. Even when I'm not at the meetings, though, I help John with a lot of the work for Hainesport Township, and I do have to say I always love being here and working with the committee and with the staff. It's a very well-run town and makes my job easy. So thank you for having me, and it's nice to be in Hainesport.
Thank you. No comments from the committee. I'll start on the right with Mrs. Gilmore.
Okay. Well, thank you, Paula, for the pickup schedule and information pack that came out. It's already been distributed to the members of the Glen by way of email, and it's going in their newsletter. So they have no excuse. I also want to remind people about the Senior Citizens Club. They meet the second and the fourth Thursday at noon at the Street Community Center, and their next meeting is August 27th. It's been a very challenging year for many of us in various ways, but if we could just, I could ask a favor of everyone, if we could all try to utilize our local restaurants and businesses, it would be greatly appreciated by them. They're struggling during this time, and I can't, I've spoken with many people, and it's been a great hardship. And if you can, please shop local, buy local, utilize our local professionals and non-professional, your heating, air conditioning, auto repair, whatever. Just please think Hainesport first. And just thank you. Thank you all for coming.
Ms. Snyder?
Yes, I see a lot of new faces tonight, and I encourage you to come back next month. Thank you so much. Get home safe.
Mr. Costa?
Oh, nice to see everybody. You know, it's always a rude awakening to find out that you don't have power over your lives anymore. In our case, where New Jersey has a history of home rule, over the centuries, states have had, and townships have had a power over their own sovereignty, basically. They have a power to determine their own destiny and their own zoning laws. Well, that changed in something called the 1960s. You remember the 1960s, which I'll define from 1965 to 1975, when all these thoughts of utopian equality came about, and redistribution of wealth and all that, and that added up to a progressive state like New Jersey getting highly progressive judges and creating laws, which judges aren't supposed to do. Judges are supposed to rule between the factual issues and interpret laws, but are not supposed to create their own laws. But our New Jersey judges did create their own laws, and they created this doctrine called the Mount Laurel Doctrine. And under that doctrine, they basically robbed our municipalities, like Hainesport, of our sovereignty to determine our own destiny in regard to zoning. Nothing burns me up more than things like that. And yet, these elected officials have to deal with that. And they have to weigh the competing demands of the state bureaucrats and the judges who are threatening to invade our zoning laws and change them unilaterally, or whether we have to deal with those risks and dangers and make decisions on our own. It's a terrible thing. But that's what you get when we elected these progressive governments. And New Jersey's not the only one. California is just as bad. In any event, New Jersey, the people in this town are the victims of two things. It's a pincer movement. One is the laws that were enacted during the 1960s for fair housing laws. What they do is they give out federal tax credits to builders who put up low-income housing projects. I know they're not called low-income housing, they're called affordable. They're actually low and moderate income. But the builders will build whatever gets them federal tax credits. That's the federal level, and as much as the current president has tried to change some of that, he has changed some of it, it's still there. and it won't be changed in the near future. And then we have New Jersey's highly progressive judges that have created these laws in New Jersey mandating affordable housing requirements for each municipality. And the threat is the builder's remedy suit. If we don't comply, I feel like I'm in Nazi Germany. If you don't comply, they'll get you. They will come after you. And they do that with lawsuits from builders. And ultimately, if we don't comply, it's at the point of a gun. That's what it always comes down to when you violate the laws as dictated by the powers that be. Like the mayor said, elected officials don't like to go to jail for violating the laws. So in any event, we're down this path now, and you have limited options. For those of you who wish to complain, I would advise you to vehemently express your opinions at the before this board. If any type of use, change of use or comes up for ordinances, or at the local planning board level, when the applicant goes before the planning board for site plan approval. Now, your criteria for objections can't be that you don't like low-income housing. That's not going to fly. Not in this state. You say that, they'll crucify you. It has to be based upon regular, normal criteria for zoning. And you mentioned it. Traffic, that's a darn little street. Too little for traffic like this. And the danger that it presents. A serious hazard of cars and maybe pedestrians going through that little train trestle. Is something in law called a foreseeable risk, an accident waiting to happen. And if ever there was an accident waiting to happen, I would say that railroad trestle is when you get a couple of hundred new residents coming through there. And some of them will have cars, some of them won't. Some of the kids will have bicycles, and there will be more pedestrian traffic through that railroad trestle. And I know you've all gone through it as I have, and sometimes I'm in the protection of a car, and I'm a little bit afraid going through there sometimes. So you have darn good reasons to object. May even help if you got your own planner or talk to one. But that's what I would advise you to do because many of you have suggested this is the wrong location for this type of project. I would tend to agree. There are certainly other locations in town that could have been picked. And I don't know why the builder chose this particular one, but he did, and it was available. So that's my best advice to you, and I hope I haven't gone on too long.
Jerry?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank the Public Works Department for multitasking. We've had some severe storms. They've been on top of things. You make a call, they come out, they clean up. Sometimes they're inundated for a few days, but these guys really do a good job, and I'm really proud of them. And also, at the same time, with Paula's direction, they're doing a sidewalk assessment, which is multitasking during a difficult time, so I'm really happy with that. Second of all, I'd like to thank you all for coming out, and I've always been one who likes to see a full room. Unfortunately, this is the fullest it can be, because we need your input. We need everything you have to say to make the proper decisions, and be sure to come out when anything comes to the planning board and be aware of things. I was a little disappointed some people didn't know a warehouse was going in, and that was pretty well advertised in the newspaper. So I would say just try to make your neighbors aware of something, so if they do have opposition to something or concerns, they can voice an opinion, because that's very important to be out here. Because if I wasn't up here, I might be out there with you guys voicing the same opinion. So thank you all very much for coming out.
So I have a couple comments. One of the things that I noticed while I was not on the committee was sidewalks through poor planning of many years ago, where trees were allowed to be placed between the curb and the sidewalk. We have a lot of areas in town where the sidewalks are lifted. There's case law for either side that the resident has the burden to fix that sidewalk, and there seems to be some case law on the other side where the municipality bears the brunt. Either way, the municipality opens themselves up for a possible lawsuit for allowing a dangerous situation to exist. So I asked our administrator to start a an assessment of where we have these sidewalks that are raised up and causing potential problems. And Paula discussed that tonight, and we're going to take a look at how we're going to correct that. Second thing I noticed, as our town has matured in some of the newer developments, there just seems to be a never-ending supply of brush and trees all over the place. I mean, I have a landscaping service, so I really never have any trees myself personally, but a lot of people do their own landscaping themselves. And it seems to me, as I ride around town, that we'll go around, again, we have 5 people in Public Works. You talk about your tax dollars and keeping taxes low. And they'll pick up the brush that was sitting there for maybe a week. The next day, there's more brush out. And it's all over the place. So we have a plan where we're going to discuss and implement days that we collect brush. And I don't know if there's necessarily any teeth that we can put into it, that you're just not allowed to put it out the next day. You kind of have to wait. Coupled to that, I've asked Paula, our administrator, to take a look at getting another brush truck. You've all seen it, the one that comes down and grabs the brush. So I'm pretty sure we're going to get another one of those next year, because these storms just don't seem to stop. I saw Jerry, on Jerry's block. Jerry's those of you that know him, he's out there with manhandling trees and getting them off Mount Laurel Road. I mean, the last big storm we had. And the other pet peeve that I had was when we started recycling. Talk about property values. Everybody's worried about their property value. Well, what does that do to our property value when everybody has their recycling buckets out in front of their house? We have an ordinance on that now where you can't, and I don't know if it's come out and been made public. The ordinance definitely was passed. Was it a resolution or an ordinance? An ordinance stays forever, that you just can't put your recycling buckets out in front of your garage where everybody can ride down the street and take a look at it. You have to find a spot, to put them and try to keep the aesthetic value of the town up. And there's some property value things that we all need to take a look at. And I understand we're afraid of the composure of the town changing, but it's changing right in front of us in a slow manner, and we're trying to do what we can to keep your property values up by enacting some sort of regulations to keep things on an even keel. So that's pretty much where I stand. And as long as I'm here, I'm going to try to, and I can share the rest of the sentiments to the rest of the committee. I think my number one job here is to preserve our values, our town values, and the way we live life in Hainesport, insofar as much as the schools, again, the general appearance and safety of our town. So whatever we can do to work with that brush ordinance and the recycling and trash can ordinance would go a long way in keeping our town attractive. So with that, we have some bills. So do you have something else, Paul?
Well, we have bills, but I need to make a request on one of the bills on a reduction. For Richard Alimo, it's currently listed at $4,208.45. That needs to be reduced to $4,080.95.
Okay. With that adjustment, I'll ask for a motion to pay our bills.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. We do not have an executive session tonight, so we will ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
Yes.
Mayor McLaughlin?
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for coming out.